My first guest is a stand-up comedian and actor who also is a fashion plate. Chris Tucker is from Decatur, still calls Atlanta home, and loves performing before his hometown audience. I went one-on-one with him before he performed at the Fox Theater in March. What is it like when you perform for home folk?
You know what? It's a dream. It's even greater than a dream. I never dreamed, I would be coming back home to Atlanta and performing at the Fox Theater. I started here doing stand-up comedy in the comedy club, the Comedy Act Theater. And, I found out that I wanted to do stand-up comedy in high school. So now when I think back, I think on it, I'm like, man, this is bigger than the dream I had. I never thought about coming home and performing at the Fox Theater when I was a young kid. So it's just great. A lot of family, friends, hometown folks come to the show, and it's just unbelievable. It's like a dream.
But what are the perils of performing in front of folks who know you?
Oh, you know what? It's fun because it makes, for me, I dig deeper. I make sure that it be one of the best shows, the best shows that I have done. And, but when you do stuff in front of family members and you're talking about your family and talking about friends, talking about places that everybody, a lot of people in the audience know about, my high school or growing up, it's a little different, but it's a lot of fun.
Does anybody ever tell you, Chris, why'd you say that?
Oh yeah, all the time. My mom, she used to get on me a lot when I would say certain things, and she'd be like, "That ain't true." I'm like, "Mama, it's a show. Some stuff might be a little, fabricated a little bit." But so, hey, she used to get on me a lot, but some stuff do be true. Why you say that? Why you tell everybody that? Mama, it was true.
Do you write your stuff in advance? Do you improvise? What do you do?
Well, as a stand-up comic, you using that comedy muscle, and I've been on stage for years, performing in comedy clubs, and this is part of the tour, the Chris Tucker The Legend tour. So I'm always preparing for it, and I get prepared for each city and each show. So expect everything, a lot of talking about a lot of issues, a lot of what's going on in the world, in relationships, in my life. I do it all. So
when you prepare for the show, and I'm trying to get you to tell me your process for preparing for an audience.
It's a lot of, I watch a lot of comedy, seeing what other people are talking about, other comedians talk about. I watch a lot of my shows that I record, so I perfect that. And then I do a lot of writing and a lot of stuff, writing down stuff I want to talk about. So I do it all. See what's out there and see what's going on in the world, what I think about in the world, because I would be thinking about something and I got to make sure I write it down because I've been forgot it. So it's a big process as a stand-up comedian stuff, and then having other comedians watch me too and say, "Hey man, what should I be talking about? Man, you said this before." So I do it all and to get ready for a show.
So who do you like in the current comedy realm? Who makes you laugh?
You know what? I like Dave Chappelle. He's a friend of mine. I like him, and we kind of...
He gets in a lot of trouble, though.
Yeah, Dave would say whatever he wants to say. And that's what I like about him, because he would push the edges to some stuff that a lot of comedians won't do or can't do. But Dave is one of them. And I like the ones to come before me, and we stand on their shoulders like Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and those comics, Robin Harris and Robin Williams, so many greats that I grew up watching that inspired me to do stand-up comedy, to dream to do stand-up and then one day be in movies and do movies and all that stuff.
So did you meet any of your legends? I know you've met Murphy.
Oh yeah, I met Eddie Murphy and became friends with Eddie, and Richard Pryor came to one of my stand-up comedy shows in LA at the Pantages Theater. I sold out like 4 shows right after Fridays. I did some shows in the Pantages Theater, and Richard Pryor came to one of my shows. I never forget it. I had him stand up, gave him a bottle of Cristal. That's how young I was. And then he came backstage and I said, "How did I do?" He said, you were funny. You were funny. And I'll never forget that, one of my idols told me that I was funny, and it was Richard Pryor. And he came to my show. So I don't think too many comedians can say that Richard Pryor came to their show.
Well, Richard Pryor had a knack for making it plain, and sometimes his honesty could be hurtful.
He turned tragedy into comedy, and he mostly talked about his life, Richard Pryor. Richard didn't talk about a lot of other people if you go back and watch. And that was so, and he taught us, him, and so many other comedians gave us that roadmap on how to, to do comedy. Talk about yourself, and then some people you make, but mainly he talked about himself. And he turned his tragedies into comedy, and that was what was so great about Richard Pryor.
And what about Mr. Murphy?
Oh, Eddie! Oh my God, just a genius. Eddie Murphy could do stand-up. Then he was a movie star, and I always wanted to do that. Not just do stand-up, but become a movie star and do it all. Eddie could do impressions. So watching Eddie Murphy was just he set a bar so high that we all still trying to reach it. From when he did 48 Hours in Beverly Hills Cop, and that's where the Rush Hours come from, and the Money Talks, because I was watching one of the best that ever did it, and I wanted to be up on that level. And Eddie and Richard will set those bars for me.
The Ice Cube hit movie Friday presented Chris Tucker as the character Smokey, a drug dealer who gets in trouble on a Friday cracking jokes and smoking the weed he's supposed to sell. The film was so successful, a sequel was made, but Tucker wasn't in it.
When I was younger, I always, say I trust my instincts. When I was younger, I never thought about sequels when I was younger. I thought about do a great job and move to the next project, movie or whatever, and try to keep building. So the reason why I didn't do a part 2 was I was always looking for the next thing to do a great job in and hopefully I can get another movie from that. So it just happened that I just kept moving at that point.
But that changed after the success of the first Rush Hour movie. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan made 2 more.
Yeah, it was just a match made in heaven with me and Jackie Chan, because the chemistry was great. Jackie, he was humble, and it made me feel comfortable working with him. And he barely spoke English. I barely spoke English, so we had a good time. having a good time figuring the movie out. So it worked. I'm a perfectionist, and that's part of me, trying to be a better comedian, trying to be a better actor. That's why I don't choose a lot of acting roles, because if I'm not gonna like it, I know my audience, they may not like it, but I choose it because I want to always do the best and be in the best roles, in a role that I could do the best job in. So that's part of my perfectionist. That's a part of me. So I think a lot of people might not know that, and that's why you probably wonder why you don't do it every movie and take every check and all this stuff. But money is not the most important thing to me. My reward is when somebody say you did a great job, and oh man, that was a really good job, and that was a great movie. That's right. That right there is more worth any amount of money that I can ever make. So I always search and try to be the best I can be.
Well, you got some really good reviews on air, and it was 7 years in between before you made that movie,
Yeah.
And it was about Michael Jordan, of course.
Yeah.
But the part you played, the man was still living, Mr. White.
Yeah, Howard White.
So that was a different turn for you.
Yeah.
How did you become him in the film?
It was a blessing. It was a blessing that I knew him. I know him. I'm friends with Howard White, but I was able to pick his brain and talk to him about, and I was able to write my own parts in the movie, because his character got put in the movie later on after Ben Affleck talked to Michael Jordan and got his blessings. And Michael Jordan said, I don't care what you do, just have Viola Davis play my mama, and then have Howard White in there, because he was my contact with Nike. And then we were out looking for roles to do, and Ben was looking for somebody to play Howard White, and then it just happened we was able to connect and with our people, and I was able to get in the movie, but it wasn't a part. But he said, you can do whatever you want to do. I'll let you. And that's how I work, because I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can make it to me, and I know Howard, and I can pick his brain, and I wrote all 6 scenes in the movie. When you see the movie, I wrote all those scenes. And then my son was able to help me, put it in script form. So that was awesome to do that with him and show him how it worked and how I work and stuff like that. So yeah.
His son, Destin Christopher Tucker, is a graduate of Morehouse College and is in the film industry. Now, his dad has tried to teach him lessons he learned the hard way, especially when it comes to money. Chris paid the IRS almost $3.5 million in back taxes. You joke about that in your comedy, about your tax payments and everything.
Oh, yeah.
You are very open about that.
Yeah, because you know what? It's a great thing because, you know, stuff happens when you're young and you're making a lot of money. You're not gonna, you know, if you don't know all those things or you don't have the right, you know,
people around you
with that. But really, it's just a learning process because, you know, money comes and money goes. You spend money, but you know, you have to invest it in yourself and invest it in stuff whatever that's gonna help you make more money and all that stuff. But he definitely knows about that. You know, that I've been through that. You know, I bought every car you can imagine and the houses all over the place. You know, for me, it was a learning process that really. I had a lot of fun, but it really helped me value money. Like now, value. I always value money, and I never was a gambler or anything like that, and lost money gambling or anything like that. So that it was always doing something that I felt like this will help me go to the next level. And I just forgot to pay my tax. No, I'm just joking. no, it just wasn't handled right, but it's handled now. So thank God.
Thank God. The thing I love about you is the Chris Tucker Foundation.
Yes.
And people don't talk enough about you and your foundation, the things you do with the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Yeah.
I want you to let people know why you are so involved, particularly in Georgia, but you also do something in Los Angeles with Prince Jackson.
Yes.
Why is it important to you to give back?
Well, it's the best thing that I ever done, and it was my mom's idea to start a foundation, the Chris Tucker Foundation, because she saw me going all over the world, doing different things, going to Africa, you know, doing things over there to help people, and she said, "Why don't you start your own foundation too?" I was like, "Cool." Best thing I ever did to help somebody, to do whatever we can to help people less fortunate, put people through college or people that need heart transplants or anything they need, that, you know, we're able to do something like that. It's just the best. It's better than any opening of a movie or any big paycheck or anything like that. I gotta tell you, that's the best thing that I ever been a part of, the Chris Tucker Foundation. And I listened to my mom. She said start a foundation, and you could do more. You could do stuff for people here in your state, whatever, and around the world also. So it's a blessing.
He also considers a blessing his friendship with the late Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I became friends with Michael, and you know, it's so crazy because I think it was Destin or something. We had to be like Kendrick Spears because in every movie I did a Michael Jackson impersonation, and I guess that's because we all grew up on Michael, you know, as in the 80s and 70s or whatever. But we became friends, and Michael was another person so kind, and just you know, when I met him, he was just so kind to me, and it was just really nice, and I'll just never forget, you know, how he was just kind and always encouraging.
Jackson had Tucker appear in the Rock My World video, and then Chris and Usher surprised Michael Jackson during Jackson's 30th anniversary show in 2001 at New York's Madison Square Gardens.
He just fell out on stage, if you see it. And I was like over him, like, man, this is Michael Jackson laughing at me, and I'm dancing over him. This is crazy. It's like, so it was great.
But you know, people go crazy when you do it because you are spot on.
Oh my God, I think it's something. It's kindred spirits. I think so because you know, grew up just always loving singing his songs and his energy with everything. And then I met him, and it was like he was so kind and nice. And then so it was. Every time his music come on, I dance. I get up and dance, get up and sing it and imitate it.
Here are a few things you may not know about Chris Tucker. He is the youngest of 6 children and had to work in his dad's cleaning business.
Yes, oh man, that was such a blessing because it taught me how to, you know, be my own person. And my dad owned his own business, so he used to pay other people, and he had his own independence, so it taught me how to be independent. To you know, get a job, make my own money, and stuff like that. So it was a blessing, you know, and hard work, because it was hard where my dad would stay on top of you on every little bit of thing, and so it made me want to do everything I do and make sure I was excellent in everything that I was doing.
Is there anything you will not joke about?
Yeah, I have a lot of boundaries, you know, things that I won't joke about, but that's part of being creative and clever and all these things to get my point across. As you know, when I was younger, it probably wasn't no, you know, the rules, but the older I got, I do have, you know, I just feel like I can get it, you know, some stuff I just don't want to talk about, but I can get it, and then I can get some stuff across another way, and all that. Yeah.
Name a boundary.
A boundary, you know, if somebody's in the room, I'm not gonna talk about them. I'm not gonna dog them out, and that's just not me. And you know, if they're not in the room, I might say something, but it still ain't gonna dog them out if they hear about it. Like, I can't believe he said that about me, because I know everybody. But you know, just certain things. I think, you know, comedy is supposed to make people laugh, and that's our job, is to find out how to make people laugh without hurting somebody. You know, so that's my goal, is always to try to make everybody laugh.
So when people come up to you, and I know they do in the airport or in the street, say something funny.
Oh yeah, I look at them like they're crazy. Like, say something funny. What are you talking about? This ain't. I'm tired. What are you talking about? I'll tell them the truth, and then that'll make them laugh, you know, or whatever. But yeah, I don't. No, it's all natural. It just comes out of me when it comes out.
So before I go, the jacket. When you performed at the Beloved Benefit, I realized that you are a fashion plate.
I got it from my mama. My mama's from the Church of God in Christ, and she's one of the sharpest ladies in the Church of God in Christ. And I realized I got it from her. She has so many outfits, so many hats. And she traveled with a lot of luggage, and when I travel with a lot of luggage. I'm like, how did I get like this? And I like fashion. I like, you know, stuff that blings. My mama, I got it from her. So, yeah, it's a gift from her.
How many jackets do you think you own that are designer-like?
A lot. I spent a lot of money on clothes over the years, and matter of fact, we started a store at the church there. We're gonna start selling some of my stuff and my mama's stuff and other people's stuff, because we got so many clothes. But in this business, you know, you gotta look good and you gotta keep it together. So.
And there's one more thing you need to know. He was not divorced in 2003, as some websites report.
I never been married. Yeah.
So why are you scared to get married?
I'm not scared. You know, I'm looking forward to it when it happens.
In my lifetime?
In your lifetime, yep, in your lifetime. I'm looking forward to it. You know, my mama's always on me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Sound like your mama.
I know. I just want to stay married. When I get married, I want to stay married, so that's why I've been patient.
Okay. Chris Tucker, the Legend Tour, will be in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates in May. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, check out the recommended videos on your screen and subscribe to Peachtree TV to see the latest from Monica Pearson One-on-One.